Street. Right. Our next guest, looking beyond cool. There's a definite hint of the Johnny Depp going on here. If you're watching on Facebook Live, here's the very good-looking one. Dennis is the very chic, elegant one, and on the wreck at the end of the table. Dan Roberts, welcome back. Friend O Show, as they say on Soho Radio. Friend O Show. I'm nicking B.B. Lynch's phrase. I don't care what you're going to do. Sue me? Doubt it. Have to learn to write
This
first.
just in, Russ Kane, did he?
You get sued by B.B. Lynch, or as I always call her, Booby Lunch. Now, Dan, here's your background. You know this, but
Yes.
just to position it for everybody.
Okay.
You started coaching in 1993, which is like forever ago.
Yes.
Yes. James Blake, in which case you weren't born.
2 years before I was born.
Yeah.
Depressing. That is just so freakingly depressing. Dan Roberts has done over 20,000 hours of personal training. Good God. Lived, worked, studied in 5 countries. Inland Revenue still after. Author 3 qualifications, competed in Muay Thai. Have I pronounced that right? Mm-hmm. Oh, that was a good guess. Tennis, lacrosse, ultra marathons. You're a thought leader in mind-body development and a celebrated coach to Hollywood actors, athletes, models, and international royal families. But apart from that, what have you done, Dan? Come on, you slacker. Welcome to Men's Radio Station.
Thank you. Nice to be back.
Thank you. Well, we always loving having you. We love having guests who think, yeah, it wasn't so terrible. I'm gonna come back. Have you been Hollywooding recently?
I've been working with actors, yes, but I've been in Europe though. I haven't been to LA.
There's a theme emerging. Have you noticed that Paul said, yeah, I was in Shaun of the Dead. So he says. So you're not allowed to say who you've been working with, are you?
No, it's all contracts with studios.
Okay, but we'd know the names.
Yeah, it's usually the lead of films, usually action films I work with.
Now this comes full circle to what we were kicking off with, and I have to say, all credit where it's due to James's great idea, this being Mental Health Awareness Week, and James said that body image and self. You explain it. It's your thing. Go on.
Okay, so this is Mental Health Awareness Week, where people are trying to raise awareness for mental health, and the main theme of the week is sort of body dysmorphia and body image. And I reached out to Dan because Dan came on the show before, and he's a PT, and something I wanted to discuss with him. He's actually done lots of training with Hollywood actors, models, etc., etc., etc. But the theme is body image, and I thought, what better than to bring Dan in to talk about body image?
I'm both stunned and impressed. If only your mum was here to share the moment. You thought I'd forgotten, haven't you? No.
I was like, no, we've got
No.
2 hours.
A mind like a steel trap, James Blake.
Dan unfortunately didn't get to meet Mum last time he came in, but my mum has started to come do the green room stuff, so you'll have to come back again to meet Mum.
I dubbed her the green room goddess, and she said, "Oh, I really like that." There we are. So
She's on strike this week, but hey.
But it makes sense. I mean, because exercise plays a role. I think it can play a positive role, but it can also play a negative role, and it's.
Well, I mean, exercise and it is part of body image, right? It is how people lose weight. It's the I think.
Well, when people want to when people say they want to get fit or get strong or lose weight, what they really mean is they want to feel better about their body.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it's all body image.
Yeah.
How they feel about their relationship with their body. For some people that means being a size 8, for some people it means having 30-inch jeans, some people it means being ripped or massive, but it's essentially they want to feel better about themselves.
They just want to feel comfortable with the way they look.
Yeah.
And I mean, sometimes I don't necessarily think that means having a size 30 waist or having big
But it
muscles.
does to some people, not to you, but it does to some people.
To some people,
and this is the whole issue with body image. We all have a relationship with our own body, and we need to, I think, explore that if we're going to be happy.
And that's such a great thing, explore that. But my thing is, you see a lot of Hollywood actors and you see a lot of models who have this look. And does that mean just because they are a Hollywood actor, if I have that look, am I going to be happy? Or
I think when your body is your profession, it's a slightly different thing. Sometimes you have to disassociate slightly.
Well, that's what we spoke about at the top of the show. We said about how people see these. We were talking about Marvel superheroes, and I'm like, the thing is, they are superheroes. That's their profession, to look like a superhero, and it's like you don't necessarily have to look like that. to be happy with
But
your
even
image.
they don't look like that when they're not.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Exactly. That's
Yeah.
what I mean. Exactly.
They
That's
train
like-
for 6 months incredibly hard, usually like 3-4 hours a day, sometimes 5 hours a day, 6 days a week. They have trainers, strength coaches, nutritionists, fight coordinators. It's a lot of money and time and energy is put into getting those actors looking and performing the way they do, but they don't even look like that.
Yeah,
by the time the film's out, they look different.
The reality of the situation is that that's not the body image that they want either.
Well, they can't maintain that. It's impossible to maintain that kind of condition.
Exactly, and that's where my problem is.
How long after when the camera stopped rolling? Get me with my showbiz terminology. And Hugh Jackman or Chris Pratt or any of these guys, Chris Hemsworth, and they've stopped doing that and having that incredibly intense regime surrounded by all the experts, much like yourself. How long before they revert to what would be more like their actual body shape, not the forced body shape?
I mean, some actors are like people like Chris Hemsworth is a bit of an exercise fanatic, so he doesn't really stop. He'll just do less strength training and more conditioning. But some actors, I mean, I don't look after him, but I know Daniel Craig, after he gets fit for Bond, does absolutely nothing for 6 months.
Have you not seen the recent Chris Hemsworth thing, Dan?
The app?
No, the recent picture he put on Instagram
No.
where
no.
he's like big. He's
like,
he's obviously
like fat big.
Well, he's obviously like taken a few weeks off training, so he's not as defined as he was. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it might be for a role as well.
He's doing it with Mental Health Awareness Week.
Oh, really?
To say like,
Oh, okay.
I'm a professional. I'm paid to look like 4, but he's like, if I was just an average guy, I wouldn't have. It's like you said, I wouldn't have 6 days a week, 3 hours to train every day. And you're like, this is what I would look like.
But even him, when he's like out of condition, is still probably pretty good.
He's in
I
a lot
imagine.
he's in a lot better shape than me, yeah. But you can just see there's a picture of it. I wish I had printed it off, but there's a picture of him when he's on set for 4, and it's just like this perfect sculpted,
But this
thing.
is the issue. This is the image we have in our head, and this is the problem with social media. We look at the kind of after photos. We don't look at the process, and we don't look at the hard work of training. We just see a snapshot of the end result.
Yeah, you just see
Which is temporary, and then in our brains, subconsciously, we think, oh, that's the norm, when it's not. And if we're exposed to lots of images, which women have had dealt with for years, with models being on the cover of magazines, if you're not skinny, white, and young, then you're not beautiful, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But that's what women have had to deal with the last 40 years.
if you're not skinny, white, and young, good luck, basically.
Which is nonsense. It's absolute nonsense.
It is nonsense. It is nonsense, and that is why.
Do you do, apart from walking home, do you do any exercise, James Blake?
I used to.
No,
not
we're not talking
anymore.
about. Well, I used to do a lot of things, most of which we're never going to discuss again. But do you actually do anything?
No.
So
Diet and
how can you then moan and kvetch that you say, oh, I should look better, and then you think in the same breath, well, I don't actually do anything towards that,
But
anything at all.
I used to be in the gym 5 days a week.
So what's your rationale? Are you actively not training on purpose, or
No.
just other things got in the way?
Life got in the way is my excuse. It was when I was at uni and I had lots of free time on my hand. I would be like in the gym with all my buddies lifting weights. And now it's a societal thing as well, because I don't like this connotation of, to be beautiful you have to be buff.
Yeah,
Which is also my
But
excuse.
that's an
which is also my
excuse.
for
Yeah,
ordering
sounds
pizza.
a bit like an excuse. But you can look at. I mean, gym isn't just about training. Isn't just about looking a certain way.
No, exactly.
For
It's
your
not,
health,
yeah.
for your bones, for your mental well-being.
Yeah.
There's definitely a link between mental wellness and exercise. Helps you connect with yourself, and
100%.
stress relief and dopamine release. So there are benefits outside of. You don't have to do weights to get really built.
But you can't disagree with me when I say that is the idea in 90% of men's heads when they go to the gym, is that I want to be buff.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but I think that's wrong. It's not the way I think.
I think it's wrong. I do think it's wrong, yeah.
But just because most people get it wrong,
And I think
it doesn't mean that that's not a good argument for you not doing it.
that's true. I mean, I should definitely do it. Thanks for this one.
No, I'm just.
Thrilling.
I tell you why I'm doing it. It was a much more general crowd. I wasn't picking on James. Okay, I was picking on James. That's what he's there for. But what I was really thinking is all of us, and I was just using James because I know as an example. We all make the excuse why we can't do something, and you're the living embodiment of why we can do something. So, if you're pretty much like me and James at way different ages, but how can we start easing ourselves into some sort of regime. I mean, I've changed my diet, which has really helped, I must be honest with you. I fall off the wagon occasionally, but otherwise it's okay.
It's a good question. I think before you start strategizing what to do, you have to go back a step and actually really work out if it's important to you. Because the biggest excuse, what James said, is like, I haven't got time. You do have time if it was important. You have time to come into work because it's important to you.
If I get paid.
You have time to eat, you have time to maybe watch a movie every so often. So it's all about priorities. So if exercise isn't a priority, it doesn't matter what strategies I give you, you're never going to do it.
Well,
you have to kind of really, again, explore mentally, like, do I want to exercise more? Why? And then sort of you have that conversation with yourself first, and then once you're motivated, then you can start thinking about, I cycle to work, for example, which I live an hour and a half cycle ride.
What?
So it's 3 hours a day of cardio I get in, because sometimes I'm too busy to do stuff.
You cycle an hour and a half each way?
Yeah, because I live over in Surrey. I live miles away. So
I thought you live around the corner. Or was that
I used to.
Yeah.
I used to live about like 4 doors away.
Oh.
Unfortunately, now I live like.
Did you cycle in today?
No, because it's Sunday. I do it Monday to Friday, and my legs are about to fall off. But I find it hard.
I do the same thing. That I walk home from work. I don't walk in the morning because in the morning I'm half asleep and I try and stay in bed.
So why do you walk? Why do you walk?
It's for exercise. It's for mental health, and I think it's a great way after my day to unwind.
Great,
Because I get that like hour of I'm just alone. I've just got my music on and I just walk.
and that's why some people do a boxing class, or why some people do Zumba, or why some people do martial arts, or some people go for a run. To say, it's a lot of the same rationale behind it.
Touching on martial arts, I wonder because you're a martial artist.
Yeah, I love martial arts.
What is the sort of the martial arts approach to body image? I wonder, and the way people look and feel and stuff.
Well,
I don't know.
a true martial artist doesn't care what they look like, because it depends which martial arts you're talking about. I mean, traditional martial arts, it's very spiritual practice, like kung fu, things like that. It's not even about hurting someone or hitting someone. It's a self-growth thing. So and a lot of them attached to like Eastern cultures, where like in Thailand is a Buddhist country, for example. So they try and lose the ego and about sort of self-growth and see the truth in the world, and that's not about having a six-pack.
So it's almost saying as if like, why care? Almost.
Well, it's just not important.
It's not
because it isn't. We all know if we think about it.
See, this is another thing. I do agree with you slightly to say that it's not important, but I feel like body image is it needs to be what you're comfortable with. You need to be comfortable with your body image, and I think it encompasses a lot of things. I don't think it just encompasses fitness and health and like if I'm fat or thin, but I think it encompasses what you wear, how you act, what's your hairstyle, and
Yes, but the issue is obsession with your body. Not that you shouldn't care. I'm not saying people shouldn't care at all what they look like. That's usually a sign of depression when people give up completely. And it's nice to communicate from the watch or a car, whatever it is, but obsessing about anything usually is a bad path to go down.
And isn't that kind of, I don't know, like you're the martial artist here, but isn't that kind of also again a martial arts thing? It's about balance, isn't it? It's about having like being comfortable.
The classic thing in Taoism is yin and yang.
Yeah.
So the argument is it's all balance, and too much extreme. The Buddhists call it the middle path, where you go too extreme in one way is always pretty bad.
You're always going to have a negative time
exactly.
if you go down one path.
And that's true. Obsession about anything, money, fame, career, anything is going to it's going to come back and hurt you a little bit if you obsess too much.
It's interesting to try and find the balance, though, between obsession, which we know has very negative connotations, and being very focused.
Yes, I think being aware is the key thing here.
In the what?
In knowing what's happening. Like I'm a bit of a workaholic at the moment, and I'm well aware of that. But
Welcome.
Hello.
But it's an active choice.
Welcome, Dan Roberts, to the Workaholic Club.
But it's a choice, and I'm aware of the things because basically to be like, if you're focusing on your career, for example, it's the people who do really well aren't cleverer. They're willing to make the sacrifices.
You're absolutely right, and of course it's as they always say, it's a weird thing. The harder I work, the luckier I get.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's so true. Where are you on this, Dennis?
I think it's important to take care of their body. It's not just motivation should not just be about to look good, but to actually feel healthy. I was just wondering what's Dance Roberts' take on like obesity, like people telling that. Do you know about the body positivity movement?
Yeah.
I just want to hear your thoughts about that.
That's a great question because I'm quite vocally against it, which isn't very popular.
Yeah, I know.
I understand the point of like, yes, we should accept ourselves, but when it goes too far that we're celebrating an unhealthy image, you know, like I think a few months ago was Ashley Graham's her name. She's a plus size model in America, but she's obese.
Oh, Ashley Graham.
Yeah.
She's out on every single tube poster you can imagine.
But that's unhealthy. That's not. She's so. That's not a healthy size to be. For me, it's the same argument as like why we shouldn't have someone anorexic on there. So saying it's so bad to judge people because they're skinny and then just have someone really, really overweight.
Now, is she? I don't know anything about her. I think she's Australian, Ashley. Because I was.
I don't know.
Here's the thing, Dan Roberts. I was so bombarded with images of her because I'm on the tube coming in here and going to meetings and stuff, so I won't bother to drive anymore. So everywhere you go, huge posters. And I thought, who is this Ashley Graham? No, I haven't. I've never heard of her. I don't know who the hell she is. So I thought, well, out of curiosity, because it was driving me mad, I looked it up and I thought, she's not a plus size, as they say, model from Australia. Seems pretty jolly, very pretty face and all the rest of it. Now, I'm not an expert. You are an expert. You live and breathe it, right? Is that someone who is simply curvy? Or is that someone who's quite clearly eating every burger in town? I don't know. The answer, by the way, I don't know. I'm asking the question because I don't know the answer.
Well, I don't know her, but I'd hazard to guess that she looks very. That's for me. That's putting my trainer and nutritionist hat on. That's too big. That's unhealthy. Even if she can get away with that now, there's always some outliers which can get away with being very, very skinny or very large. But usually when you're big, you put more strain on your heart, more strain on your joints, and it causes problems. I don't think it's a positive image. In the same way, I don't think someone anorexic is, or looking, like super, super skinny is a positive image. But it's tricky because particularly in sort of the world for in women's media, it's been so bombarded with this one aesthetic of like skinny, white, young, that I understand if you're a woman, it's quite nice to, for once, not have someone who looks more like you. So I get that.
But I guess the worry is, of course, I'm bearing in mind this is men's radio station, so we're encroaching on our sister station, women's radio station. But is it saying you're getting permission? Being curvy. People are curvy. Some people are curvy naturally. Is it? I suppose it's a line where you're saying you want to eat crisps, have that extra burger. Who cares? And then, as you say, the health side of it is really very.
Well,
negative.
We can all do whatever we want. It's like, but the point is, when you're celebrated, it's not her I have an issue with. It's magazine editors who decide to put her on the cover as a role model. When you're in the front of a magazine, that's like aspirational. This is good. Yes. That's the issue I have. Not with her at all. She can do what else she wants.
Same issue I have as well. It's like when they get put out here, it's like this is the beauty standard. This is the body image you have to attain.
And it's because it's trendy. Body positivity is very trendy, and sadly, even mental health awareness. Mental health is quite trendy, so you get a lot of people on Instagram chatting about mental health when they don't know anything about it, because then it gets more likes at the moment.
It's what creates the buzz.
Yeah. So maybe I'm being a bit cynical, but...
No, I don't think you're being cynical.
Yeah. Russ said a good thing. What is it? Cynicalism is...
a cynic is what a romantic calls a realist.
You're just being real, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm just being in my 40s.
If somebody wanted, let's get down to some nitty-gritty here. If somebody wanted to start, not a kid, let's say 40 plus, and somebody wanted to start improving generally their health by some training, what's the easiest? And let's be honest, people are pushed for time and also we're inherently lazy. What's the easiest? What would you start to recommend?
I would start activity before exercise. So what James is doing. Walking more, being more active. When you're on the tube, take the stairs rather than the lift, and the little tiny things to get your body and your mind used to moving more. I'll do that first and get used to that, and then you'll naturally, if you want to do more, then you can start programming exercise. There's no point sitting down all day and then once a week going to a CrossFit class and going crazy. That's how you get injured.
It's
much better to warm up.
Isn't that bad? Say, for example, because I know lots of people that do that. They go to a spin class once a week and they go, right, that's my exercise done for the week.
I don't I don't recommend that. I think it's best to be more. I think it's better for the body and the mind to incorporate activity into our daily routine. I think that has more benefits psychologically and also physiologically.
Well, physiologically, I think psychologically, I agree with you that it's much better to do it a small bits over the course of a week. I just think that's better for the mind. But physiologically, I wonder, how bad is it for the body?
Well, I think in terms of total calorie, if you walk an extra half an hour a day, which is not that big a deal,
no.
You would burn way more calories. If you times that by 7, that's way more calories than the most intensive 1 hour class you'll ever do.
Now, one of the twins at home is a gym fanatic, in the gym every day, looks utterly amazing. The other twin, I don't think he knows how to spell gym, but it's amazing. And he had a real go at me, which was this. I said, I'm doing lots of walking. He went, you're wasting your time. I said, what do you mean I'm wasting my time? I didn't want to hear that because I was really making an effort. He said, you're wasting your time because you amble along. And I'm walking with my mini schnauzer, and it's like the dog will stop every 10 seconds for a wee. So you're not getting, if your heart rate isn't thumping and you're not sweating, you're wasting your time. I said, but surely, and here's my question to you because you're the expert, if I'm doing something, it's better than nothing.
Yeah.
Is it only effective if my heart is racing and I'm sweating? Seriously?
No, it's hard because you're both right, in a way. As always, these things are quite nuanced.
His Oxford University education. Damn him.
It kind of depends. I mean, the main thing is for your heart health and for your lungs, mainly for your heart actually, just moving more, even if it's the same pace all the time, is beneficial.
Right.
100%. But if you want to invoke some sort of change, if you want to lose some weight or stronger muscles, then you need something called progressive resistance. It means you have to make it a little bit harder each week. So walking a bit faster or walking a bit longer. And that's where I think he's coming from. If you're already pretty fit, like for me, I'm quite fit. So if I went
kidding.
if I went for a walk, if I did a 10k run now, wouldn't do anything because it's not that hard for me. I'd have to run.
Why
further
did you invite
faster.
him in? Why? Anyone that says, hey, if I did a 10k run, it'd be nothing. Like I can't, no.
So if I want to get fitter, if I want to get fitter, if I want to get better at 10ks, I have to run it really. I'm saying if I run 10k slowly, if I ran 10k in for me like an hour, it would do nothing. But if I ran it in 40 minutes, that would help me get fitter.
If I did
10k
in an hour, I'd be celebrating.
But this is my point. We're all at different levels. Yeah. So for some people, going if you're not active at all, going for a walk for if you broke your leg, you haven't moved for like 6 months, and you go for a walk for half an hour, that's amazing.
Oh yeah.
So it's all progressive. But the idea is that you constantly have to push. Just like anything in life, you have to go to the next level.
Yes.
Just like you do for careers, like you do for everything.
But I think you have to know what it is you want and what it is you want your body image to be and how you want to be comfortable with it. And I think that's the important part. I think you have to know what it is you're setting out to do. It's like you said, are you just trying to get fit or are you trying to gain muscle? And it's like that's a goal.
Obviously people hire me and my team, and one of the first questions we ask is like, hey, why do you call us? How can we help? And a lot of times people don't know. They're like, well, I want to get fitter. What does that mean? Oh, I don't know. I need to get fitter.
Yeah, what does fitness mean to you?
So quite often nowadays I find that I kind of tell people what their goals should be rather than sort of helping them, because people don't know, because they're not fitness, they're not in the world of knowing what's possible with their body.
I'm interested, what are some of the responses you get? Has anyone ever turn around and say, I want to get fit for my mental health? Do you ever get that one?
For stress, I've had like CEOs, people who run stressed out executives, and they're like, I just need it, I need a release, don't care what you do, don't care about my body, I need something to.
And then that conversation you have with them generally talks about, well, fitness is a good channel for mental health.
Well, what we do, we just try, and sometimes talk is a bit cheap. We just get on and we
talk is cheap.
Sorry, probably the worst thing to say in a radio station. But we have to kind of move, because you don't know if I say, hey, do you want to do boxing, or do you want to do sprinting? Do you want to do Olympic lifting? They don't know. If you haven't done it, how do you know? So my role is what I do is try everything. Over the first month or so, it's like, hey, let's do this and let's do that, and then after the month, then we sit down and say, hey, what did you like, what didn't you like? And then they've got a more informed choice. They're like, you know what, I really enjoyed that boxing, I want to get better at that.
I think that's a great thing as well. I mean, another thing especially with guys and body image at the moment is, I don't know if you know, but it was just the Arnold Classic, wasn't it?
The bodybuilding.
The bodybuilding. Yeah. So it's been all over social media. So it's like I've been watching it, and it's like, they're lifting like trees and like tires, and I'm thinking like, oh, like I watch that and I think, is that something I want to do? Is that something I need
Is
to do
it?
to get fit?
Is it something you want to do?
I don't know.
I've got no interest in doing it.
Maybe I need,
No, seriously, I've actually no interest. I don't want to. I don't even want to look ripped. I'd like to look, but it's probably too late. A little bit more defined, but it's. I think a lot of it, and Dan, I'd like your professional opinion. You can discuss it and think about it. Is a lot. Is it taking back control? Don't answer now. We're going to go to a break. I'm Russ Kane with James Blake and Dennis, who's silent but very efficient. This is Men's Radio Station. Back in a minute.
You're listening to
In conversation with Dan Roberts, who is like a fitness genius and martial art brilliance, and I don't know, sometimes you just think the mountain is too high to climb. So, the question that I posed before our ad break is this. Is some of this dieting and keep fit business, is it about taking back control to feel better about yourself, just from that perspective?
It can be, yes, and that's where exercise becomes incredibly powerful and empowering. It's not always the case. Some people take it too far and it becomes about vanity. I think that's where there's a trend definitely amongst like younger generation of like posting pictures themselves on Instagram where I don't think it's about empowerment, it's about vanity and self-promotion, and I think that's dangerous for mental health. But I think for most of us, particularly ones not addicted to gym selfies, for most of the population, it is incredibly empowering and it is taking control back, and that's the best thing about it.
Because I know when I lose, well, I was never hugely overweight, but I had a weight. I share this because we get lots of guests in. I had a bad back following a car crash 21 years ago. I was playing up. I went to the GP to try and get some painkillers because it was driving me up the pole, and because it's inoperable, blah blah blah. And he said, "Oh, I got your blood results back, blood test results." I said, "Well, I had those months ago." Okay, well, had I not gone, he wouldn't bother to phone. I know they're busy. I'm not being rude at all. I said, "Oh, you're pre-diabetic." I said, "I'm sorry, what?" He said, "You're pre-diabetic," and I was like, "You're kidding me." He said, "No, he has no sense of humour, by the way." And so I thought, he said, "But it's completely reversible." I said, "Fine, then I'm going to reverse it." I just, on the spot, I'm going to reverse it, which I'm clearly doing. I've lost a stone, feel better, cut out loads of stuff that I shouldn't have been eating probably. Do I like it? But of course, as you were saying in the break, we've got to live.
Yeah, and I think your story, that story is very common. Like we all have different points where we have a wake-up call. When I was like 25, if my 8-pack dropped to a 6-pack, I'd be annoyed. Now I have no packs and I don't care.
Oh, the woe of life.
For some people, I've got a client, when he hits 100 kilos, that's when he gets motivated, and when he drops out, when he goes over 100 kilos, that's when he gets motivated. When he gets like 99, then he chills out and he thinks he's fine. And that's because I'm not saying this is good, but we all have different points. And for you, it's a doctor saying, "Hey, you're pre-diabetic."
Yeah.
But I think when we have that line, the lower it is, the less tolerance to being out of shape. That's the people who are in shape. The people who don't accept it.
The worst thing for my diet, the worst thing, if I wake up one morning and go, "Oh, I look skinny today," that is the worst thing for my diet, because it's like, I think my work is done. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm here, I'm skinny now, I can be
Which
skinny.
particular morning would that be, Joe?
That was harsh.
Several.
If I'm nice to him, he gets really nervous because he knows
Something's
there's
wrong.
a problem.
Something's wrong.
He knows if I'm really nice to him, he knows there's going to be a memo.
If I walk into in the office in the morning and he goes, "Oh, James, you're looking good today," I look in the mirror like, what's wrong? What's wrong? You know?
Quick Mars bar.
Yeah, I'm like, quick Mars, I'm like, something's not right here. You know what I mean?
But this control thing. Okay, I shouldn't weigh myself every day. I do because I want to see if it's not vanity. I want to see if I'm actually making progress.
That's
I'm
fine
doing.
then you should. If it works for you, then you should.
Thank you. Because other people say, "No, don't weigh yourself."
Well,
it's not about that.
if
But I
you-
said, "But then I can't monitor if I'm making progress. If I'm slipping behind."
But if all you do is think about like your weight and it starts impacting on every area of your life, then it's maybe a bit of an issue. But it's not. So it's
Well, I
fine.
don't want to be diabetic.
Yeah,
I mean,
so-
that's number one. And number two, I don't want to look like a middle age if I live to be 200, obviously.
For-
I'd be
for a
middle-aged,
lot-
but I don't want to be looking horrible. I just don't. I have pride.
For a lot of people, they obsess about weight. I think it happens more with women than it does men. But if you obsess about something, then then taking it away is more empowering. For you, it's actually more empowering to measure it. So it works for you.
So then I think, well, I've got some measure of control over my life, because most of life is, as you know, Dan, utterly random. You don't know what the hell's going to happen. Walk down the corner and get hit by a bus, a piece of scaffolding, and fall. You don't know. It's not within your purview to control it, but you can control your weight, kind of.
And
if you want.
And you can control how you think about your body and the relationship you have with food and the relationship you have with exercise, the relationship you have with yourself. These things we can choose, but quite often we don't. We just muddle along. We don't really explore it. That's why I think it's worth actually spending time to think about not kind of what body you want, but what kind of relationship do you want with your body? What is it to you? Is it a part of you? Or is it like a car what you have to look after? Or is it your house where you live in? Or is it who you are? Is it your identity? You can get a bit philosophical, but the more you understand what relationship you have, then it's easier.
To be honest, I'm not quite sure I'm following that. Well, because it's a very, very interesting point you're raising, but maybe I'm being thick. I'm just not entirely sure.
No, you're not thick at all. It's just I'm not communicating.
No. It's like, all right. So at my age and my time of life, I'm not going to say, right, I want to be ripped. I don't, and neither do I have any interest in looking like that. I don't know if this is helpful. I'm using just as an example. All right, and I'm not going to speak. Like Dennis can eat what he likes. Look how slim he is, James. Anyway, so why?
So funny.
We had one of the we had one of the leading psychoanalysts in here the other week, a professor no less, and he was cracking. He said, "You two, this is the most wonderful working relation." He's now become a friend of the show, so to speak. But he was, he came in suited and a professional beard and the whole thing, and he was just cracking just because he was brilliant. So what I'm saying is this. And I'm asking you, obviously, I don't want to be ripped. I'm not going to look like Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. That's never going to happen. I can't have all that stuff. Is it my image? No, because my image is hopefully is my writing or my speaking. It's not what I look like. Who cares? But it's just a bit of self pride. I think when you get older, you look around at your friends and you think, Christ, you look terrible. You've let yourself. That whole thing of you've let yourself go, and I guess. For me, I never want to think, oh God, it used to be this. He's let himself go. I couldn't bear that. But that's all I want out of it. I don't want anything else out of it.
Which is fine because you know it. My point, this is very much links into what I was saying. It's about your identity. Now, for some people, for example, let's cliched example, but like a 23-year-old lad. Usually a little bit more
just no further.
Well,
glasses, beard, Ed Sheeran look alike.
Usually are more conscious about the way they look. Because normally they want to sleep with people, and they want to, stuff like that. You kind of care less about that as you get older.
I think as well, you haven't quite established your identity yet.
Yeah, you're figuring stuff out, and it's a naturally more insecure time. So it's quite normal, I think, when we're younger to slightly put the way we look into our identity. I think as we get older, particularly into our 40s and 50s, it becomes more about family, if you have that, or your career. I've got a family. If you haven't got a family, you've probably got a good career. And that's your identity. So yourself, Russ, was saying about your writing and your career. That's how you value yourself. If you didn't have any of that, if you had no career whatsoever, and you had no family, you probably would care more about your body because that would be your identity. But it's a natural progression to change and to evolve.
Yeah, but Dan, you briefly mentioned earlier about social media.
Yeah,
I was just interested because if I got it right, that you started coaching 1993.
Yeah.
So that was pre-social media. So would you say
pre-Google?
Pre-Google. So
pre-James.
Would you say that there was an increase in the pressure to look good before social media, or?
I think there's definitely been, and it's been well documented.
Yeah.
I think, James, you've got some stats. I don't know if these cover these stats, but it's been well documented about how there's an increase in body image dysmorphia, in obesity, in eating disorders, in all kinds of issues related to not being happy about our body. Gym membership's gone up. Every kind of stat you can find related to are we a bit more obsessed about our body? It shows that yes, we are, more and more so.
1 in 5 UK
all one's
adults.
got sats.
1 in 5 UK adults said images on social media had caused them to worry about their body image.
I mean, wow, 1 in 5.
1 in 5.
That's loads.
That is loads. 1 in 5. I mean, if you think there's 4 people in here, so that'd be that extra person we had would be the one that worries about it.
Probably your mother who's not here today.
Who's worried about her body image? But it's just like you say, it's
But even the ones who don't admit to worrying, it's still a message in our psyche, you know. So I think all of us get affected by it.
massively.
Here's the
And
thing,
the-
Dan. Let me ask you this. And I have a problem with this. Take somebody like, and I'm just using her as an example. I'm not picking on her. Okay? No. Gemma Collins. All right. Putting aside whether she's completely talentless or whatever. So here you've got somebody who.
he swears to God he's not picking on her.
No, I'm saying putting aside. That's not the point I'm trying to make. The media, for whatever reason, push this woman forward, and she's all over the place, right?
Yeah.
And yet she's clearly, there's a difference between being curvy and someone who is.
She's overweight. That's not wrong
She's
in
like-
saying that. Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to be polite, but she looks heavily overweight to me. And bizarrely, I know a team that was around her, and they put her on the diet. She's not interested in dieting. It's not that. So I don't want to hear any of this. She can't help it. Everybody can kind of help it. You're never going to look like Victoria Beckham. It's a body shape. So if you're curvy, you're curvy. That's fine. But it's this dichotomy between the media going, isn't this great? And then from the health side, and we're always being told, especially when I do the shows on the BBC, you've got a diabetes problem, you've got an obesity problem, all of these things, and they're not being honest with each other.
Well, no, but the media have magazines, in particular, that actually even TV programs, they're businesses. So I think the moral compass is maybe not so great as it used to be.
21% of adults said images used in advertising had caused them to worry about their body. So that as well adds to that point of you're trying to make of like you're always being fed this idea of how you should look, and maybe it's changing a little bit.
Well, no, I don't think it'll ever change. I actually don't think it will change. It is the very nature of the beast.
That's why we, as individuals, have to employ a bit of critical reasoning, and we have to kind of choose who we, what kind of images and messages we're getting. Like if you're on social media, we can choose who we follow. If I just followed 400 male bodybuilders, I'd probably feel quite insecure if I was looking every day, looking at these guys with big muscles. It would affect me. I'm sure it would.
It's exactly how I felt this morning watching the Arnold Classic.
Don't watch it then.
But it's like, I'm a fan of Arnold Schwarzenegger, but I was just like,
It's the one guy I want to meet. It's the one person I want to meet.
you know that?
I'd love to meet Arnie.
Really?
I'd love to meet Arnie.
Do you know?
Did you read his
I think
autobiography,
he kicked
Total
him.
Recall?
He got dropped in,
Fascinating.
yeah.
He's
sorry.
an amazing
Fascinating
guy.
book. Yeah, incredible
He's
guy. In
amazing.
3 careers, he killed it in 3 careers. Who
He's
does that?
amazing.
He
Nobody does that.
I'm a huge fan myself. Yeah.
So he was bodybuilder, wasn't he? Gold's Gym, wasn't it? When he made Mr. Olympia.
He was 7 times Mr. Universe.
Mr. Universe.
Yeah,
That's it.
and he retired at 26, I think, as the all-time champion. Then he was the biggest movie star.
And then he goes and does the Terminator and becomes amazing world, I think. And then he was the governor of
California.
Even before he was a bodybuilding champion, he was already a millionaire in a property business. He was very entrepreneurial as well. Yeah. He
Very
did
smart guy.
very smart.
He
And he did this
doesn't-
in a foreign language.
And you think you've got a crazy name that no one, especially in America, can pronounce.
Yeah.
You've got a crazy accent, and so just think that achievement is really something. You're very, very philosophical as well, aren't you? I mean, you're very thoughtful. You when the question's asked, you think about. But you've obviously, but there is you can tell there's a big philosophical side to you.
Well, I did a master's in philosophy. That might help.
Well, there you go. Well done, Russell.
And I've
Not much gets past me.
and the esoteric stuff of Zen living, I've delved in. I used to live in a monastery many years ago. I've done quite a lot of things. I think you've only got one life, haven't you? So when you're interested in things, I like immersing myself. So when I'm
Because you
interested
exude. I'm joking aside. No. You exude a certain. What the hell can I?
Feng Shui.
No, I'm not rearranging the furniture.
I would, not feng shui.
Well,
Thank you. Amongst your ridiculous suggestions, James Blake, was Dennis's excellence with an aura.
An aura, yes.
Thank you, Dennis, for actually adding a touch
we all
of
have auras.
maturity.
We all have auras.
But a lot of them are. It's really interesting when guests come in. You say we all have auras, because some of them, I look at James look at me, and then Phil Davies is normally here, but he's out doing Eurovision. Don't even go there. It's like you look at it and you go, "This is going to go well." You think, "Oh God, this is like, ooh, this is messed up. This is somebody really messed up. They shouldn't have come in."
Hey, we're all messed up, really.
But I work on the
Hide it
basis.
better.
I work on the basis that everyone's raving mad. I actually do work on the basis that anything above and beyond that is a plus. I do. That's how I go through life. I assume everybody's raving mad. Like everyone on the road is out there to kill me, and if they don't, it's a happy day. That's really how I go through it. What was it like in the monastery? I'm fascinated.
I'm glad you asked.
Well, not much happened. in monastery. So, it wasn't really rock and roll. But it was.
How long were you there for?
I was there for 4 months.
What kind of
Is
monastery?
that in Thailand?
Tibetan. No, it was in Australia actually. It was a Buddhist monastery in the mountains in the, I think, western Queensland. I can't remember. It was a while
So
ago.
there's a hint of the Batman, just trying to, Bruce Wayne going, all right, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to make James feel
Well,
better.
I was young, but I was living quite wildly in my youth, and I thought it'd be quite good for me to do the opposite. And I was reading a book about Buddhism, and when you read a few books, I like books, but I've always thought you have to really immerse yourself. So I was living in Australia at the time, and I found out there was a monastery, and I wrote them a letter saying I want to be a monk, which was a lie, which was bad of me. You're not supposed to lie to Buddhists, but I didn't want to be a monk, but I wanted to experience it. I was young, I was like early 20s, and they said, yeah, come along, and you can work there. So I worked in this monastery and swept, and it was really interesting. I remember one day I was sweeping, and one of the head monks came along to me and goes, no, slow down, you're doing it too quick, you need to be mindful when you. So mindfulness
You didn't
comes
go,
from Buddhism.
please tell me you went, paint it on.
And it's all slow. It's it's very interesting, but it's all about being completely. Mindfulness is very trendy right now, but it's a central part of Buddhism. Quite a few different sort of areas
What
of
did you
Buddhism.
do on a daily? I'm really not being sarcastic. I'm really fascinated. What the hell did you do?
I meditated a lot. I helped in the kitchen. I helped sort of sweeping up, sort of helped run the place, the monastery, but it was all very slow. So if you do things too quick, they're like, no, you're living too much in the future, trying to get it done. You should enjoy every moment. So,
See, that's a great thing. That's a great thing to try and learn, though, isn't it?
You can, once you have, learning to meditate is quite useful, because I don't meditate that much. I did it a few days ago, and I hadn't done it for a couple of years, but it's a handy skill to have, because it calms you, it changes the way your brain works.
But I think the thing with meditation is people have this idea of it where it's like you have to sit down, cross your legs, and do a pose. You don't have to, do you? Meditation can be anything.
When you're learning it, it's quite handy to have no distractions.
Yeah.
I mean, the ultimate goal, the way that many Buddhists would see it, is to be meditating while actually interacting, while talking, while doing anything.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
But
How would you do that?
because it's creating a state where you.
How
see
can
the
I have
truth.
an intelligent right? Okay, don't go there, James. How can I have an intelligent conversation with a really interesting, engaging guest and be meditating at the same time?
Depends how you define meditation. You're defining it in the sort of closed way of imagining someone.
Because I used to do TM.
But there's different definitions of meditation. So we come down to an argument on semantics here. So
Well, help me out.
just going back a step, the main thing about meditation is you start off basic. So you can start off with your eyes shut, no noise, and just try not to dwell on the thoughts. So when a thought comes into your head, that's fine, but don't dwell on it. And that's meditation. And as you get better at it, you can start doing it while moving. Well, I mean, a lot of athletes, where they're trying to get in the zone, like if you're a tennis player and you're doing a serve, you're so focused. Actually, the way the brain waves are working, the alpha and the beta brain waves, are very similar to meditation. Incredibly similar.
Lots of study has gone into that. The idea of being in the zone.
Yeah.
It's the same as being in a meditative state. Lots of research and science goes into that.
Yeah, there's a great book, Zen and the Art of Archery, written about 70 years ago, which talked about this, and even The Inner Game of Tennis by Tim Galway, who wrote the whole Inner Game series. It's all about it's kind of Zen in a way, kind of letting it happen. So this book about teaching tennis is like, you don't try and hit the ball, you let your body hit the ball.
Yeah,
it's a very interesting kind of concept, and it's you can sort of apply that as a philosophy for life as well. So when I'm teaching someone how to do a complex move, like a complex kick or something, we learn it, then it's like, then you have to just allow it to happen as opposed to forcing it.
Well, that's a big thing. Someone's always told me never like in golf. It was
golf is perfect.
Never
example.
force the shot.
Yeah,
hit the golf ball.
Yeah. And let your subconscious take over, because the subconscious is so clever, and our conscious brains are so tiny and usually mess things up with our ego and other stuff. Yeah. But our subconscious knows everything.
It only happened to me once in sport, which was clay pigeon shooting. I don't shoot anything live. I just don't want to. Why are you laughing? What's so funny about that?
Because of course you had a gun in your hand and you were in the zone.
I was. It's true. Well, all right. I really.
But I can imagine, because it's intense concentration.
It's very. When I was like trying to put it all together, stay ahead of the target, stay ahead, that, and then suddenly when I and it only happened to me once, Dan, and I let go. It was dusk. It was terrible conditions, and I just blew everything out the sky. It was effortless, and I could never recreate that moment. But it was extraordinary. It just came totally. I couldn't miss.
You were in the zone. Some people call it a flow state, but it's when your conscious mind was kind of let go, and your subconscious, your body, your muscles knew what to do, and it was all aligned. And it's kind of a pseudo spiritual experience.
It was very strange. I couldn't believe it. It was almost like I was witnessing it. I know it sounds silly, clay pigeon shooting. It's not, it's not going to change the world, but it was a weird experience.
No, because it's very precise. It was something like shooting or archery, or even things like snooker or something, where you're kind of still, and golf as well, where you're still. Then it's actually, you have those instances of getting in the zone, in the flow state, more easily than you do if you're doing something with lots of different actions, like if you're dancing or doing.
I enjoyed the notion of clay pigeon shooting, which I haven't done for years. I really should go back to it. Was this: you either succeed or you fail. It's not like, I nearly got. I did. You either break the clay or you don't break the clay. So it's very precise. And the only person who will defeat you is yourself. And that's kind of my motto for life. And that's what I really enjoyed.
This is a wonderful thing about sports. I was saying in the break, even though I'm a gym trainer, I'm a strength coach, I much prefer sports than I do going to the gym. Because when you have sports, you have these, potentially have these moments where you're completely at one with whatever it may be. It doesn't matter what the sport is.
Wouldn't you say, when Russ was talking about kind of letting go and hitting the clay pigeons, wouldn't you say that's what it's like to be in a meditative state all the time?
Yes.
That is what it would be like.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm nowhere near there.
No, of course.
But I'm saying that's in theory, that's what it'd be like.
In theory, you'd be
exactly.
In the zone
good point.
24/7. You know.
When you said you went to the monastery, I was picturing myself there seriously, and I was thinking, as long as I was doing stuff, I would be fine. So, you want to volunteer to sweep? I'm happy to sweep up. You want somebody in the kitchen chopping veg? I'm your man. I would love all that. I love all that. But if you said, right, Russ, can you go and sit in the cell or whatever they call it? Not going to be an ensuite. No, I mean a monk's cell. I don't mean a prison cell. A little bit literal there, James Blake. A little bit literal. I thought, and just sit on your ass and do nothing. I've been like, oh God, no! Let me look back in the kitchen and do something. I don't mind if it's menial. Menial never bothers me. I just want to do.
Yeah, but the whole thing about a Zen, more spiritual life is you be rather than you do, because they would argue that we do, like people in the West, we do, and we should spend more time being.
I don't know what that means. If you do a Frank Sinatra gag, you're out the door. You were so close.
I'm not going to do it. Don't worry.
Where are you on all this, Dennis?
I've never come across with anyone who spent his life on a monk. It's quite interesting to hear that. It's interesting you mentioned about mindfulness, like being mindful. That is kind of like trendy now. But I just want to hear like what is really mindfulness? Like, is it a state, or do we really have to engage in a certain activity to achieve mindfulness? Or what would you recommend for people that who actually want to practice mindfulness? just every day. Like for me, I work from home, and I don't have really. I'm very limited with my physical activity because I just sit in the computer all the time. So for people like me, what would you recommend if we wanna practice mindfulness the simplest way?
Well, mindfulness isn't necessarily a physical thing. It's a way of thinking, where basically it's about being present. So whenever it's quite easy not to be present nowadays because our phone goes off and there's distractions everywhere. The idea is to focus, to have complete focus on what you're doing. And like when you're here, like now, you're thinking about what we're doing now. You're not thinking, oh, I've got to press that button, or tonight I'm doing this. You're completely...
I do have to press the button.
But mindfulness is just being completely present in the moment. And when we have conversations like we are now, and we're listening to each other, that's a classic mindfulness, because we're listening and we're engaging. We're not, well, I'm not thinking about anything else. If I was, the conversation wouldn't flow very well. You know, so and it happens internally as well. So if you completely just, when you're on your computer working, if you completely get absorbed by that, it goes quicker, it's more enjoyable. But if you're doing it and also getting distracted by other things, that's not mindfulness. Linked to that, there's also mindful movement. So if you move, if you go for a walk, and actually don't listen to your headphones, actually feel your feet kind of walking, feel how your body, how your posture is, feel how your abs are working, be aware, like scan your body and just have a feeling of what's going on. Listen to like the birds tweeting or even the cars going past. That's being mindful. It's being completely present in your given moment, sort of living in the now. So that's kind of the best way I would describe mindfulness.
So basically, if you're working from home and you're working in your computer and you haven't got lots of tabs open, that qualifies as mindfulness.
Well, in a way. I wouldn't use that example. But
Dennis reply. Dennis, in case you don't
go
know,
for a walk in nature.
Yeah.
Okay, that's right.
Well, I do walk sometimes.
Dennis looks after the social media for Men's Radio Station, and we're very, very grateful to him. He does go give yourself a plug, Dennis, because you never normally speak.
Yeah, I volunteered to manage the social media because I used to work before for a PR agency, managing social media accounts. Yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah.
And what else? Dennis, you do many things. What else do you do?
I run a mental health blog, so that's why I volunteered here. So it's kind of aligned to what I'm doing. I'm running PsychReg. That's plugging PSYCHREG. So it's like a blog, a podcast, and an open access journal.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool. So just as we're coming to the end of the show, I wanted to do one more stat, which is over a third of UK adults have felt anxious or depressed because of their body image. Now, my question to the esteemed crew we have gathered here today is, what can we do about that? How can we make body image, how can we make it so not 1 in 3 UK adults are depressed over their body image? What are some things that could be done? Could we be more mindful? Could we take a more Zen-like approach and just be? Is getting in the gym and just getting fit, is that the right way to do it? I don't know, give me some ideas.
I think we should start by being honest with ourselves. So I think any kind of change starts with some self-awareness.
Okay.
So actually spending some time thinking, is this affecting me? So some people are like, no, I'm fine with body image, it doesn't affect me. But actually spend 5 minutes and really think about it. Are you happy in your own skin?
I think that's
I think the start of any kind of change is being aware.
So it would just be taking a couple of minutes just to sort of be...
Just have a think about it.
Just have a think
I think conversations like this help, but actually so many of us just go, oh, it doesn't affect me, because they don't go deeper.
Well, I don't know, 1 in 3 UK adults. You know, we've beaten the numbers in here. There's definitely one person in here who's concerned about it. I can say that.
But I think it's a lot more than 1 in 3. But that's my point.
I think it is more than 1 in 3, but I think just think about what it is you want your body image to do.
But also,
that's a great tip.
A few months ago, we have a psychotherapist who works on our team called Danielle Sandler. She's part of our team, our coaching team. And a few months ago, we actually asked her to create a guide, and we actually launched it yesterday. So I want to give that. It's free, completely free.
Ooh. How do people get that?
Just go to website danrobertsgroup.com. And there's a thing which says free resources, and it's completely free, and it's a whole video series, tips and insights all about how to have a more positive body image.
Loving that.
So it's danrobertsgroup.com/free, and it's called How to Love Your Body, and the psychotherapist, Harley Street psychotherapist, is Danielle Sandler, and she's been helping us for years, and she's created this free guide, and because we try to be nice, we gave it for free. So it's all available.
I'm already there.
Right.
I do have a quick question. This man on your website doing all these kicks and flips, is that you?
There's 4 different people on there.
Is it? Oh yeah, there's a girl now.
There's some are dancers. I'm one of them.
Yeah, I'm sure I saw
I'm
you.
one of
sure
them.
I saw you.
I'm one of the least impressive people. There's Georgia, who's a professional breakdancer. There's Pat, who's a few breakdancers, a few stunt man on there. Just friends, basically.
It's very cool when you
Which
go.
one's
Yeah.
Remind me, which one am I? What am I doing in this particular? Am I backflipping? Am I?
Yeah, you're backflipping.
What am I?
I think
Yeah,
you're
I
just
saw
off
that
camera,
was.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just off.
Oh, I can't believe you missed me. Oh.
But yeah, the website tries to, try and be
Go
cool.
to the website. Go to the website. Check out Dan Roberts and his friends doing all the cool stuff.
We'll promote it on social media.
Yeah. Dennis will give it a big push. So it's www.danrobertsgroup.com. There we are. And you can get your stuff and then just look at it.
Yeah, it's a
going,
great guide. We literally launched it 24 hours ago. So it's good
Wow, well,
timing.
that's rather
Yeah.
timely. Timely.
How
We
convenient.
knew. We planned it.
It is
We
almost.
planned for you to call me.
That was it. It's always a pleasure to welcome you. Thank you so much for coming back. I really appreciate it, and especially because you've come miles as opposed to coming from 4 doors away. Can you believe it? Of all the things in the world, how serendipitous was that? Where are you? I'm 4 doors away. Oh, you might as well pop in.
That's what I thought.
It's utter
Oh,
genius.
it's been a pleasure, guys. Thank you so
Thank
much
you
for having me.
Really, I hope at our home, in the car, or in the podcast, or wherever you're listening to this, because we're everywhere. Where are we? We're on Spotify. We're on. Are we on iTunes?
We're not on iTunes. We're on
We're
Spotify. We're on TuneIn. We're on Last FM. We're on YouTube. We're on
Facebook.
Facebook. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram. And app soon come.
So now ask me, is social media important? Oh gosh, I don't know, James. I just can't answer that question. Anyway, thank you so much. Thanks as always to boy wonder producer James Blake. Wait for the pose. No, oh yeah, he had to do it. Right, for rocking the decks. To Dennis, our social
Thank
media
you.
genius. Thank you so much, Dan Roberts. Remember, you can look them all up on Google and everything like that. I'm what's left of Russ Kane. This is Men's Radio Station. Until we meet again, have fun.